J Talk Podcast. Welcome to the cafe.
Real talk. Real people. Real situation.
All right, welcome, J Talk Podcast. Real talk, real people, real situations, y'all. We are back in the cafe. I told you all we're going to do something different in 2025, and so we're going to have these special guests, and I definitely have one today. But before I introduce you to this man who truly knows a lot of stuff, way more than I know, of course. But you know how we do it in the cafe. Get you something to drink. As I say today, yeah, I know the other day I had me some tea. Today I'm drinking some Lipton tea today, so some Lipton peach tea today. So I had all my coffee, so I'm coffeeed out right now. So we'll get back on that. But get you something to drink while we are in the cafe. So here we are. Matt, what you drinking? What you drinking? What you got?
I'm actually drinking some sweet tea in my little Jesus cup. So I'm cut from the same cloth, just like you. So
We're not far from each other.
yeah.
Awesome. All right, cafe people, listen. I have special guests with us on today in the cafe. None other than Matthew LaRose of what we got. LaRose, digital. LaRose Digital. That's it, right?
Yes, that's my name to find me on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, The Rose Digital, and that's how you found me.
Okay, we're gonna get to that. Because I definitely y'all gotta go see this guy, gotta go catch him and find him, and we're gonna put the information on here as well. But what's up, Matt? What's up? Talk to us.
The markets are up today, I guess. My credit score, and super excited to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Man, I'll be able to say that one day. I'm gonna get with you so I can be able to say that one day. That is awesome. That is awesome. Tell us about you. Introduce yourself to the cafe. Tell the cafe who you are.
Yeah, so my name is Matthew LaRose. I work for a company called Consensus Linea, do like business development for blockchain. But outside of that, I'm a content creator, mostly crypto education. I work in a space that's a lot of smoke and mirrors and magic internet money. So there's like a learning curve to understand that. So mostly what I do is I try to help fill that gap. I host monthly meetups in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for crypto education, but I'm also do content as well to help educate the masses about Web3 and crypto.
Wow. And I want to talk about some of that today, just because a lot of my cafe people, including myself, we hear the word crypto, we hear the word Bitcoin, we hear all of those words, and some of it go over our head because I'm like, all we know is dollar. We know that thing that folds with those dead presidents on them. That's what we know. Are the ones that jingle. He throw them in a collection plate and they make a lot of noise. But you're on a whole nother level. You're on a whole nother level with Bitcoin and crypto and all those stuff. Can you tell me what is this? What is that? What is crypto? What's this?
Yeah, just think of internet money. Most people during COVID, a lot of places actually didn't accept cash because they were fearful that they were going to be spreading the disease. So people are actually more common to it than they think because they use the digital dollar when they pay for something in a credit card or that they cash app something. So most people use currency digitally. So crypto is no different. But yeah, there are people out there that still use cash and might not understand a lot of technology. So there's definitely a learning curve with that crowd of people. But when it comes to blockchain or crypto, people do transactions on apps on their phone or when they go to the gas station. So they shouldn't be too fearful of this space when they think of it through those lenses.
So these are this is actually spendable stuff. You can spend it.
Yes. Yes.
Wow, 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 wow. That's cool. I was always wondering, and I was following you on Facebook. Following you on YouTube, and so we're going to put that up there as well, where we can find you. That information we can find. 'Cause I saw you have a bunch of skits, a bunch of different things on YouTube where you talk about the Stockton got up and things like that, or whatever. What would you tell somebody like myself? We coming on the scene, and especially right now. Right now, people are nervous. Um, people are nervous because you got people getting fired, you got things going on, the economy, people looking at, am I gonna have money tomorrow? Will my bank shut down tomorrow? Will I have retirement? What's gonna happen next? What would you say to us? I mean, could you give us some hope? Do we have hope?
Yeah, so to kind of answer your first part of your question, I would say start with Bitcoin when you start your Web3 journey. Bitcoin is the best place to start. In my opinion, Bitcoin is like the best option at a bad car lot. Bitcoin has its problems and has its flaws, but the average currency around the world actually only has a 35-year shelf life. So Bitcoin, it does have a lot of flaws, but when you look to currencies around the world, it's a better alternative. So Bitcoin is a great place to start. So it forces you to learn about inflation, money printing, economics. So anyone that wants to learn about this space, I encourage them to start with Bitcoin before learning about other cryptocurrencies in this space. And as far as current markets, that's a meaty question for your audience that is Republicans. I would tell them, I would encourage Republicans to have some grace to the other side of the aisle, because when we have when we're saying different things as an administration to bash our current allies, it makes sense why someone that's a Democrat that would make them feel uncomfortable when we're saying when our business partners we're trying to force better business deals and we're using insulting lingo. For the other side of the aisle, if you're a Democrat, I would make the case to have some grace for the Republicans in the sense that previous administration they did not do anything when it came to the deficit. Both last Trump's term and Biden's term, the deficit has gone through the roof. So I'm not saying what Trump is doing now is the answer to all of our prayers, but I will make the case if you're a Democrat side, like, hey, give some grace to Republicans because the last time Biden was in office, our spending was not addressed. For everyone that's in between, or honestly on both sides, my main message is, yes, tariffs have definitely spooked the markets, and this transition in presidency. My encouragement to others would be, you don't you yes, financial market news is very important, but the more important thing is to focus on what is your family's budget strategy and what is your family's investment strategy, because markets are going to go up and down. But generally speaking, the Fed continues to print money, so asset classes generally always go up because the money printer doesn't stop. So yes, in the short term, things might be rocky, but I would encourage other people to say, like, this, the current market thing, in my opinion, is just noise. The better situation to focus on is, what is your family's budget? Are you putting money in the market, or if you're like still living paycheck to paycheck, or still paying down debt? Like, who cares what the market's doing if you're still paying down debt? I don't know. Like, the general consensus is, like, this is just a short term thing, in my opinion. Like, long term, I'm still excited about the future of markets in the U.S. No, regardless who's in office. Typically, it doesn't always affect your day to day. Now, if something crazy does happen and like that does affect your investment or budget strategy, then pivot there. But until it does, the focus needs to be more on your current household and your current family situation, in my opinion.
So you're saying that, okay? So if I'm trying to get into the market, all these different things. First of all, I need to know what I have at home first. Now I know my own budget at home, like putting in. I'm trying to get this whole market thing down. So if I want to try to get investing in something or whatever, which one? Also, you're saying it's good to invest, correct? You're saying it's good to invest.
Absolutely. Investing needs to be a part of everyone's strategy, because the way that the money printer works, you're people that save money are not rewarded, in my opinion, in the sense that if you have money in a savings account and it's giving 2%, but inflation is 8%. Generally speaking, the way that money printers have historically gone, we are forced to invest in markets to kind of maintain the same quality of life. Now, savings is important. I encourage everyone to have an emergency fund and things of that nature. But I'm making the argument that everyone needs to learn about investing because your quality of life will go down if you're not investing in some sort of asset class.
So you're saying go ahead and because if it's invested, then it can be gained. It can be growing to be grown.
Absolutely, because typically savings accounts don't outperform inflation.
Wow, 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 wow. So let me ask you this question. I like what you said about if you're on the Republican side, give grace to the Democrat, and because my thing is like I tell people all the time that when I really get into politics is that I vote for the person. I'm not either side. I vote for the person. I'm a person voter. If that's even a saying, whatever. I don't know what that makes me. That makes me like, well, I don't know, independent. I guess I don't know what that makes me. I don't know what that makes me, but you look at the news, you hear on the news that, like you said, when people come into office, no matter who it is, they come in office, the first thing is do is let's do a scare tactic, and it seemed like the scare tactic is with money. Hey, the last person, or don't vote for this person because this person is going to run the debt, everything through the roof, or whatever. We're going to be dirt poor before it's over with, right? So, question. Let me ask you this question. So, where do you see the economy? Where, like being who you are in the field that you are, you deal with money, from that aspect. What do you see the economy like? What are we missing? Are we missing something?
So it's hard to tell. We are in uncertain markets. I think U.S. has a bright future, but there are consequences to just racking up debt. So I don't know what the answer is, but $36 trillion in debt is not good for the average American citizen. That comes out to be $100,000 plus per U.S. citizen of like how much debt that equals each person. So that needs to be addressed. I don't have the perfect solution to how that gets addressed, but that's something that needs to be solved. If not, no matter how good the U.S. economy continues to be, that's going to be a problem for us for the foreseeable future. My argument would be that, in my opinion, crypto and blockchain is the best asset class for the average person to get ahead. Yes, this is an asset class that is volatile, but it hasn't been around a long time, so it needs time to mature. Bitcoin's only been around for 15 years. Ethereum's been around about 9 years. And most of these other cryptocurrencies have been around for 5 to 6 years. So, yes, crypto has crazy swings to the upside and downside, but crypto is an asset class that can give you higher returns than real estate, gold, and these other asset class without people that have a specialty. Obviously, if you're specialized in real estate and you really know that asset class and you know how to flip and you know how to tell where people are moving, yes, if you have a specialized skill set, no matter what asset class is in, obviously, yes, you're going to outperform crypto. But in my opinion, crypto is going to outperform every other asset class in the next 10, 20 years, in my opinion.
Okay. So somebody wants to get into crypto and all those things based on what you know. Is there like a minimum you have to put down, or to get involved and to get your foot in the door? Is it a rich man?
Uh,
Is it a rich is it a rich man playground? Like you got to
no,
be first class.
it's every man's playground. Every man, woman, child can participate. Again, goes back to, I would say the square root is like, first of all, everyone needs a budget. People before they start investing, they should have a budget of what their income is, their expenses, their debt, and their savings. They need to figure out how much money can they put in the market, and then they can decide like how much of that pool they want to invest in crypto. But yes, whether it's $25 a month, $500 a month, or 5,000, yes, dollar cost averaging into crypto is a good idea in my opinion, especially starting with Bitcoin. People should have exposure to Bitcoin, and then they should learn about whatever asset class or cryptocurrency that they want to invest in. Again, disclaimer: not financial advice, friend advice. Um, but yes, again, so like my, my last point I would make on that is, let's just say $100. If all you have to invest $100 in the market and that's where you want to start, we all begin somewhere. That's great. Like $100, you shouldn't beat yourself up with if you're like, oh, I only have $100. That's not a lot. Well, compound interest and consistency, like that is the main goal. But I will say, if that $100 you're going to invest in crypto, if you're going to lose sleep at night, if that goes to zero or if that doesn't perform in a specific amount of time, then that's probably a sign that you don't need to be investing. Before you get to the point of investing, you need to, like, whatever amount you're investing, if it makes you have like sweats at night about like if that's going to go down, then that's probably a sign that you're investing too much. So I know I rambled on different little
Oh,
things, but I wanted to add alpha of like what I'm thinking.
and I'm glad you said it. I'm glad you said it because somebody in the cafe probably is thinking that, thinking that like, listen, well, I mean, like I say, if you're not, and it's not saying you're going to lose. Once again, let me say, first of all, let me say this. Let me say that you hit on it real quickly. Uh, uh, we're not giving you specific financial advice. It's not the goal of this. The goal is to introduce you to let you know there is something else out there, crypto, Bitcoin, things like that. So once again, we're not giving you financial advice. So if you decide to put your whole house up on these things, we're not responsible for if you end up on the streets. Okay, the cafe is not responsible. Matt is not responsible for that. So don't call us. Don't reach out to us. Okay, our goal is to let you know that hey, there are options out there. But like you just said, if you go on if you can lose it, if you can what's word if you can't lose it, it's almost like when you let somebody borrow some money. Don't let nobody borrow no money if you're not willing to lose it, like because they might not
Absolutely,
pay
that's a
you.
great analogy.
They might not pay you back. So don't if you can't afford giving them that $10, don't give them $10 because you might not get that $10 back. You don't want your friendship messed up over $10, right?
Absolutely.
So in the life of Matt, once again, Matt, what you do, you go to office, you looking at numbers, you're helping. What does what's the life of Matt? I always wondered this, and I had to get you on the cafe to ask that question. What is the life of Matt like? I see you at these events. I went through the thing. I saw you at these different events, setting up booths and things like that. What does the life of Matt look like? I'm going into the life of Matt.
Oh, that's a great question. I would say the 9 to 5 life. I work, corporate America, our crypto companies. So like, I do the deals, send the messages, have meetings with clients and partners and account management. So I do the deal during that. Post 9 to 5, the crypto mat is creating content, is doing education, is going to conferences. Last year, so God blessed me in 2024, where I went to 11 crypto conferences, one in Argentina, one in Thailand. So out of those 11 conferences, only 2 of them were paid for by my current employer. So the other 9 conferences, I had the ability to represent different brands or through my network to go travel the world for free. So like that's been a blessing. But like my long term goal is within the crypto space, like I'm considered a thought leader and have a lot of great contacts. But outside the crypto space, not many people know me. So like the long term play for me is to build my brand outside of just the current circle. So again, I'm super grateful for what God's blessed me with within the community as far as Web3. Like a lot of doors have been open, but as far as like outside, like that's why I'm starting to be consistent with creating content to see what other doors that opens. As far as like who I am, I was like outside of my 9 to 5. The very interesting thing that I love about crypto, again, this space has a lot of bad actors, and it's a lot of smoke and mirrors. So it's definitely a tough place to navigate. But there's something about the space that I'm in it attracts a certain type of person, of someone looking to belong somewhere. So you go to a crypto conference and you're going to see all type of different people on the spectrum. The one thing that everyone in our space could probably agree on is everyone comes into this space trying to betterment their family's future or make financial gain. So it attracts a lot of people, but it also attracts a lot of people that like they don't feel belonged or they're connecting in their current communities. So crypto is actually a very cool place for me to kind of like do marketplace ministry and tell them about Jesus or tell them about like who I am. Again, I'm not saying faith is for everyone that comes to the crypto space or like I have all the answers, but there are a specific percentage of people that, in my opinion, I think when they come into the space that they're looking for faith. And so I don't know, crypto's kind of been like a really cool experience about sharing my faith with others, but also too, I like helping educate others when it comes to like this crypto space because we work very hard for our money, and I don't want people to lose money. Obviously, investments, things are going to go up and down, so you're never going to always pick a winner. But there are things that you can do in place to have a higher chance of success, and that's what I try to help people with that I come across in my day-to-day life.
Okay, so um, I wanted to talk about something today, which is pretty much the title of what this segment is about, and the title was "Protect Your Money."
Mm.
Protect your money, and I said I want to have Matt on here and talk about protect your money, and I don't know if that popped in my head when I was thinking about crypto and Bitcoin, things like that, because I didn't really know what it entailed, right? I'll come in nonchalant like everybody else, but I truly believe is it possible to protect your money? Let me start by asking that question. Is it possible to protect your money, especially where we are right now, in the situation we are right now?
Yes, only if you have a long-term mentality in place. So in my opinion, I think Bitcoin is one of the best investments for the next 10 years to basically hedge your money against inflation, but also money printing. Whether you're a Republican, Democrat, or whatever politically aligned, typically it's been historically shown that like our deficit keeps going up and they keep printing money like crazy. That's not good for us. Well, there's a thing called BRICS, which is basically Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. That's basically trying to compete with the
I was
dollar.
going to ask you about that. I saw the only thing you said brick. I said I'm going to ask him about brick. Go ahead. Oh yeah, I want to know
So
about.
so you can make the argument like, oh, like U.S. doesn't have their act together. No matter what party you are, you can let's just say that you're coming through the lens of like U.S. doesn't have their acts together. Well, are you going to trust a China dictator? Are you going to trust a Russian dictator with the future of your finances? And the BRICS itself, they're competing with the U.S. dollar, but what's to say that they're not going to have disagreements internally about like the future of how they print their money. So there's a lot of uncertainty when you actually look under the hood of like how money works. So when you say like, how do you protect your money? Well, Bitcoin offers a solution or at least an alternative. Like think of it like an insurance policy. Whether like how does actually the better question is how does one person hedge themselves against all the craziness in the world? Are you going to put your trust in the Fed to take care of you? Are you going to put your trust in some of these other current countries when you're talking about humans involved? Bitcoin takes away like the human element. It's just code. Um, and the other thing about this space is the stock market. Up until recently, I think I've seen like Robinhood and other apps make it 24/7. But the U.S. economy obviously is one of the top in the world. But if you look at the stock market, I'm based in Dallas, Texas. I can only trade stocks between the hours of 8:30 and 3:30 without being an accredited investor. So there's people that gain the system by being able to trade pre-market hours and post-market hours. Well, and Bitcoin is 24/7, and you have access to currencies all around the world. So with the U.S. stock market, you're only limiting yourself to the U.S. market. With Bitcoin and crypto, you're opening the doors for investments all around the world. And U.S. obviously we have a lot of blessings living in this country. I went to Thailand. I went to Argentina. When I go to those places, the reason why we have some of the luxuries that we have here is because in Argentina and Thailand they use our currency, or they if they might not use it, they save in our currency. So as much as we have problems here, there's a lot of places around the world where their currency is not as stable as ours. So people are looking to crypto or Bitcoin as a different alternative to store their wealth because the country that they live in might have like 50% inflation for the year or something. When I went to Argentina, the prices of food and like drinks and like stuff at the convenience store would go up and down throughout the day, which is crazy.
Throughout the day.
Yes, throughout the day. If I were to go to a gas station and be like, "Oh, this is the price of a cupcake," if I came back like 8 hours later, their currency would fluctuate, so the amount I would pay for that one cupcake would change. It wasn't because it was discounted because that cupcake is 8 hours older. It's no that's how much their currency fluctuates. Um, so there's not a lot of confidence in the local community to store their wealth in that currency. Now, I will say, like, so Argentina, for example, it might be hard to spend the U.S. dollar, but if a building or a car, anything expensive is getting done, you
Uh,
best believe they're paying with U.S. dollar and not their currency.
really?
Yeah, pretty fascinating. I know. I just dropped some Chick-fil-A nuggets on
I
the
mean, you
audience.
just I want to press one of these things. Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna give you that. What? Yeah, yeah. That's pretty much what I was hearing. Like what? Wow, wow. That is amazing. That is amazing. That is so much. We don't know about all these things that are going on. We just like say paycheck to paycheck. A lot of folks live in paycheck to paycheck. It's what they have in their pocket. They pull it. They can go to the bank, pull this out, and but it's a whole nother world, which I want to try to introduce the cafe to. The whole nother world of finances. And the reason I say that is about the protecting of your money and things like that. Is that I mean, of course, people vote for who they vote for. They believe what they believe. Taking majority people, literally, only information they have is what they hear in the media. Point blank. That's it. We're not going to study for ourselves. We're not going to have people on a podcast who has done the homework and things like that. It was just we're going to go with what we think is popular, and it is what it is. So the elephant in the room, or the nation, or the state, or whatever the big elephant is. Okay, so talk to us. What do you know about this whole tariff situation? Cars, the prices, the stuff. Go. We gonna go to battle with Canada on this, and we're gonna go to battle with them on that, and we're gonna raise tariffs on this. How does that affect us? How may I how in your arena does that affect us? Or does it even affect us?
In the long run, I encourage people to say, I think it's just noise. Um, with whoever's in power, there's always some narrative that's trying to be pushed, or the other side is trying to say something. Um, I wouldn't say I'm confident to know everything about economics to know how effective the tariffs will be. I'm in the camp that it's probably not a good idea to say negative things about our allies in the public when you're trying to negotiate stuff. But I will say the other extreme is I don't agree that maybe tariffs are not the solution. The current path that we're on of just again current our current deficit. Go look at the numbers. No matter who's in office, the deficit keeps going up, and that's not good for us. Our purchasing power keeps going down when we're constantly having to print more money to pay the interest on the debt that we owe to other countries. Now, again, someone can make the argument that when Clinton was in office, the deficit got a lot better. And again, I lean politically down the middle, so I'm open to bashing or encouraging both parties. But
Like
someone might be able to say like that was around the invention of the internet. So like when he was in office, he did benefit, or at least Americans, we benefited with the invention of internet, and a lot of companies were and like sales and a lot of things were pivoted to there that drove more economic growth to the U.S. So what I'm saying is I can make the argument that blockchain and crypto is going to have the same effect of what the internet did in the 90s, but it's not going to have the same effect if people in our country are not learning about it, and also more importantly, if at the national level, if we're not adopting it for healthy policies, that economic growth is going to go to other countries. So to answer your question short, I believe the tariffs are noise for the long run. For the short term, there's probably going to be a lot of pain. And if for someone that's trying to retire, I feel for you. Like if you're like, oh, I'm going to retire tomorrow and start withdrawing from my 401k, I understand the frustration and uncertainty of like, how am I going to survive when my portfolio just went down 25%? But if you're not anywhere close to retirement or trying to withdraw from your 401k, I would encourage you to not lose another second of breath or sleep. I think in the long run, everything will be okay.
You know, I my wife tells me, she says I'm an old man. She calls me an old man. Because, I wake up, cut the news on, watch the news. And it got to the point where I said, you know what, I'm gonna stop. Man, I'm gonna start watching the news. Like, literally, I went on a news strike. Like, it was Netflix. I just watched Netflix. I love Netflix. I watch Netflix. Point blank. Like, give me a good series and a good series. You got to read captions and things like that. It's foreign. Their mouth is moving, but it's saying something else. I get into those and watch them like crazy, right? And then only downside about that is that then I look back and I'm like, okay, somebody like, hey, you heard what happened? No, what happened? You know, the price of cars went through the roof last night. What? I'm just saying something, just random crazy stuff, right? But when I look at, and I tell me if I'm wrong or not, because I don't know, okay? Especially when we talk about tariffs, right? Um, of course, I'm not for. The word was that we have been paying so much to other countries, like way more than they were paying to us in tariffs, like a lot. And then I guess President Trump come through and say, no, we're gonna make this. We're gonna nah, we ain't paying all that no more. We're gonna try to make this equal. But he said that's to help with our debt. Correct? Like, does that help with our debt? Like, is that I might be asking something totally out the circle, but does that help
If
with our debt? Like,
so yes, what you said. If we're actually being screwed over by a specific country, or if it's a bad business deal, I am 1,000% in coming to the table and using whatever tactic needed to improve that business deal. Especially for us as the U.S., we bring a lot of value to a lot of other countries, not just with being the number one or a top economy, but also militarily. Um, I mean, just think about it. Think about how much countries around the world benefit from how much we spend on our military for trade. That they're not getting attacked by pirates or being taken over by other countries because we're like the policemen of the world. Being the
yeah,
world reserve currency, we're incentivized to be. Honestly, I guess the drawback is we're incentivized to be like the policemen of the world because we have since countries like an Argentina or Thailand might be using our currency. Well, uh, we want if we're going to have maintain that power. Well, we need to make sure that like things are going smoothly in those areas. So yeah, I'm not for bad business deals from tariffs. Those need to be addressed, but I don't know all the intricacies with every single country, every single current tariff deal. And you just hit the hammer on the head when you said we only hear what media we're being listened to. There's not a lot of independent sources out there. There's either one side that's one for one party or one side for the other. So that's my big frustration with politics. Is like it's hard to have a conversation with them if you ask them a straightforward question. They answer their question, but also bash the other side in the process. And
I,
for the average American, we just want to know like what's going on, but it's a lot of noise to decipher to. And like most people are trying to work their 9 to 5, enjoy their family, maybe watch a Netflix show or a sports game. We don't have the time to decipher through all the noise, and when we do watch it, it might just make us more angry. So it's a tough one.
and I guess that's pretty much what I'm saying is that you know people will say don't play with my money, don't play with my money, don't play with my money. And so it seemed like when people come in office, that is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the money. We're going to talk about lowering the taxes, and it's like if you really think about it, you can't do one without you can't do this and that at the same time. Like I want to lower taxes, but at the same time, we're going to lower taxes, but we're also going to build the roads. We're going to lower the taxes, and yet we're going to give you an increase on this. But what if if like for instance, where we live at right now, right? So I feel like we're paying for our location. We're close to town, right? We're close to town. They're constantly building, and it's good. We want more stuff here, so they're building, and as much as we're cheering about it, taxes are going to go up because something has to pay for. Something has to pay for that new school that's getting built. Something got to pay for that new beautiful field. Something got to pay for those things, right? So it's amazing how, if we don't do our homework about certain things, we can easily hear especially during election time, you know. Tell me, like I said, like the last election, I told somebody one time, I said, we can't get off subject, but I told somebody one time, I said, listen, I said I don't have a dog in the fight. I can't remember the last time I had a dog in the fight. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like I'm just gonna pick what I feel the best of two evils. I don't have a dog in the fight, because like you said, nobody answers the question. Nobody answers the question. The question is, hey, I got $10 right here. Are you gonna take it or not? Well, the last administration, they took your last $10 and the $10 after that and $10 before that. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to build up that $10, right? How? We're gonna build it up. How? Yeah, we're gonna build it up. You ain't tell me nothing yet.
Yeah,
I just want to protect my money, Matt. Matt, I
right.
just want to protect my money, man.
Yeah. So my message would be you. So you asked a great question previously. If the tariff deals, if that leads to more money for our U.S. government, if that's used for to pay down debt, I'm all for it. But if they're gonna use that to just bring in more money and not even address the debt and just spend it on stuff that doesn't matter or things like that, it's not really a positive. My encouragement when you ask, all right, what do I do with $10? Yes, it's a very important for you to be involved politically. When the time comes, vote for the party that you want or whoever the decision maker is that you believe in most. I encourage you to do so. My other encouragement is though, after the election is over and the results are in, people should stop looking at the government to solve all the problems. And I encourage people to like work with their local community to solve things. We put so much. Not
That's
only
for
do
you.
we put
That's for you. That's for you. You said something. That's for you.
yeah, like not only do we look to the national government to solve all of our problems, but then that also forces us to give all of our power to them to like if this person doesn't do that, then I can't get this local road or this local thing solved at my local community. And I'm gonna use this as a different example of like why you say like what should I do with my $10? The very few people that I meet, they invest in their 401k. They put X amount and 401k match with their policy. They invest in they invest in the stock market in their 401k for 30 years. But if I ask the average person, the majority of people, can you name me the fund that you're investing in your 401k? Some people
Mm.
might say like, "Oh, I think I'm invested in the S&P 500 or this or that." But your financial future that you're putting all your eggs in your 401k. Again, I'm not knocking 401ks. I'm just saying you haven't done the education to like what fund you're actually investing in, but you're going to spend 20 hours watching the news seeing what this party or that party do, but you didn't put a couple hours worth of effort and like to force yourself to learn about education of like what you're investing every single week and every single month into this 401k that's supposed to be your retirement plan, your future financial plan. If you're putting more effort into all these things that you can't control, but not looking into the things you can control, that's where you run into problems with your financial budget.
Matt, you're preaching right now. You're preaching. You're
And
actually
you do
preaching.
the same thing every Sunday from the pulpit.
Oh
So
my
I just
God.
do it in my space.
You just hit us with some heavy stuff right there. And what I was thinking was that, you know, and once again, I'm still talking about money, but when people, when administration changes, right? When administration changes, it's like, especially if it's a different party, right? And normally it's a different party. Normally we don't have a Democrat, then another Democrat win. It's Democrat, Republican, because nobody likes what that person did. So the next one, it goes back and forth, right? I always wondered, what if, just out of just a crazy time, that let's say we had a Democrat, right, who was president, right, and did good. Let's say he did good, right? I mean, got the economy going the way it needs to go, and there was a Republican who came behind, or vice versa, who came behind and said, you know what? I'm not going to disagree with you just because you are another party. How about we try to continue with what you just did because it was going in the right direction, and not just say, "Nah, we ain't gonna do it just because you said it." I want to have clean air. Let's just say I want to have clean air. No, We're gonna talk against clean air right now, just because you said it. Just because you said it's almost like kids, like kid playground type, you know, like kindergarten stuff. And I just wonder where
Yeah.
we would be in the nation if we actually made our decisions not on party, but made our decisions on what we say, the people, the economy, where it's going. What you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I'm for you. Like where we live, we live in the amazing state of Texas. I would assume that the a nonpartisan issue would be to have like a high speed train that goes from Austin, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, like have a triangle. Well,
Hmm.
like for example, Southwest lobbyists they fund both parties to shoot that down every year that it comes up for approval. So you would think there were certain things that both parties could agree on, but it's one of those things follow the money. You can it's in Psalms. I don't know if it's Psalms 133. You can correct me on the scripture, but it's like the unity. Like there's blessings in unity. I
So
wish both of our parties would come together on topics that are like no brainers as far as the better good for everyone. But unfortunately, we live in a world where both parties weaponize words and different agendas against each other, and it's hard for us to take ground when we're not unified.
you know what I like about you, Matt, and what I admire about you is that, Matt, you're kind of like a unicorn. You're
Oh,
kind of like yeah, you're kind of like a unicorn. You're rare. You're talking about money and God in the same sentence. You're talking about money. You deal with crypto and things like that. You deal with finance and stuff like that. And at the same time, you talk about I use this time to minister. I use opportunities to minister, which is rare because a lot of times people deal with money and work with money and work with stuff like that. They're trying to steal from you, and they're not. They it's kind of like in the Bible. Those who dealt with money. You think about like who, like Judas. You're like, no, he works with money. Let's run. But you use this time to minister to people as well. Let's talk about that real quick, and I'm gonna let you go. But let's talk about that real quick. How do you use this opportunity to also show God or evangelize or minister to people in the midst of what you're doing? How do you what are some of the things you do?
that's a great question. I don't I don't think that I have the gift like I've seen other people to just go straight talking about their faith like a stranger. Maybe that's a talent or skill set that I haven't developed yet. But what
Me
I
neither.
will say is the Bible talks about money a lot. I have my opinions about my faith. For how I introduce people is I serve people, and it looks different ways, different times. Maybe it's an introduction to someone important. Maybe it's just giving them a word of encouragement. Maybe it's helping them with finance questions. But I serve people to where it gets to a point where it opens a door for people to ask about who Matthew is. And when they ask that question, that's when I tell them my why for why I do things.
Wow, 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 wow. We are going actually, and I was just led to it. I did it on purpose. I was led to it. Normally, this month here, this is the holy month. You have Easter, you have Palm Sunday, you have all these things that are going on. People are going through Lent and things like that. And so normally you have your regular. By the time the pastor knows what he's going to talk about, if Palm Sunday, you know what he's going to talk about. Jesus rode in. Easter, you know what he's going to talk about. So we have sunrise service at 6 a.m. in the morning, Easter's morning, and we have 10 o'clock service. So we kind of know what's going to be said, right? And somehow God did not allow me to go that direction this year, Matt. He did
Interesting.
not. He led me to talk about stewardship.
Wow.
He literally, and I'll be honest with you, Matt. I didn't want to.
Oh man,
I
that's
didn't
hard.
want to. One thing preachers will try to stay away from because other preachers have made it so bad. They've made it such an ugly thing to talk about stewardship and then to talk about tithing and talk about people's money. They've made it bad. And then of course the whole thing with the misconception, misunderstanding about Marvin Sapp's situation came out, and people looking like, but and then of course preachers making fun about it, making fun of it and stuff, and it's ugly out there. It's ugly in the pastoral world. But I did not want to talk about that. Listen, Matt. People are coming to the church. People are visiting. Do you know how it sounds for visitors to come in and the preacher's talking about a tenth, talking about tithing, and I'm like, Lord, okay, I'm doing full time now. The church is growing. People are hungry for. Do I have to talk about money right now? Do I have to talk about finances right now? I don't want to. But guess
Yeah.
what? Bible study and services have been. We have dealt with stewardship, uh, trusting God, and all of that. And so, and I didn't even think about that when I had you on. I said, okay, God, maybe pushing us in that direction as well. I mean, hey, got Matt on here. Matt, Matt tells us how to, but biblical wise. Um, how do you look at the investment of tithing? I'm sorry, I had to just throw it at you.
No, the most important. My quick story. You know,
Yeah.
people. It's stories are a way for me to help get my message across, and everyone loves stories, right? So in 2020, there was a girl I was chasing. Things didn't work out. Like I had egg on my face, and I was embarrassed. And I had a conversation with God. Like I had like a heart to heart with God, and I was like, "Hey, why didn't this go the way I planned?" And God spoke to me directly, and He said, "Matt, you trust me with your money, but you don't trust me with the relationships in your life." And it hit me hard. Oh man, it did a number on me. But so it was hard for me to how do I show God that I trust him in relationships when I'm not in one, or I'm not like talking to a lot of people during COVID. So what I know is I've been tithing for 14 years. Like I understand the rules of tithing. So I typically tithe 12 to 15%. Well, in 2020, I started tithing way more, and I started like God started doing crazy things in my life. I started consulting CEOs of companies, professional athletes, like so many different doors. And yes, my portfolio went up and it came back down, and like I had success trading and different things. But
Mhm.
like blessings didn't start happening till like I up to my tithing, but it's not necessarily that a tenth is the secret. For at least for my case, it was a way to show God that I trusted Him, and then other areas started getting blessed. Most people just look at like crypto and blockchain. I was like, oh, this is the answer. In my opinion, all Bitcoin and crypto is just a vehicle to get certain things. So my secret success in the space I'm in is not because Bitcoin and crypto are such an amazing asset class, even though I believe that it's true compared to other asset classes. I believe part of the reason for my success is I've continued to show God that I trust Him, and He continues to open door. But that all goes back to the 10%. Some people when they learn about the tithe, they do it as like a gift to get, and I was in that boat for a long time. But for me personally, I tithe not just as an insurance, but it's just like a continuation of like God, like I trust you. Thank you for breath in my lungs. Thank you for all these things. I still deal with adversity. Sometimes things happen. I'm just like I don't have answers for it, and I'm like, God, why am I going through this? But man, tithing is such a huge part. Yeah, that's honestly the best investment ever is 10%. But again, when you, like you said, like when you're having these conversations with people, there's a strategy to navigate how you have the tithing conversation with people, because especially if you're talking to a non-believer or someone that's on the fence about Team Jesus, you gotta slow down the learning curve for specific people. You gotta walk with people where they're at.
You can't just jump. You just can't jump in and say, "Hey, guess what? God wants 10% of your money right now."
Right.
It's not.
Heck,
It's not
when
a
I
good start off. Sorry.
yeah, when honestly when I first like when I was in my early 20s, when I truly started understanding the tithe, for me it was actually a struggle. I'm like I was living paycheck to paycheck, but probably spending more than what I was earning. So the idea of giving 10% right off the bat, honestly, for me, that my story was it didn't happen. It started with I started giving 2%. I started giving 5%, and then I started seeing crazy things happen in my life. I'm like, oh snap! I'm like, now I
Tell it.
can't even imagine not giving 10%. I don't know what my life would look like without. But it took baby steps. I didn't start giving 10% right away. It just showed a little bit of trust, and like it took time to build more of a history with God when it came to that 10%. So if you just come someone who's a new believer or
Yeah.
on the fence about Jesus and say you need to start giving 10%, I mean it's the truth. That's what they need to hear. But like, how are you delivering that message, or are you condemning them if they're not at where you're at when you've had to walk through your journey and you're just in the further place where they are at that time?
And that's what. And that's why I tell people all the time. I tell them. I say, listen. I am not. I am not. I'm not religious. I have a relationship. I have a relationship with Christ. I'm not religious. I'm not bound by these different things. I have a relationship, and I believe that when we look at in the tithing area, we're talking about relationship. That's a relationship. You know, you can't tell somebody who has never been married before, "Hey, let me tell you something. This is how it's gonna." Well, no, I'm gonna tell you this because I know it, and like you said you know it because you tried it. It's not because somebody told you, but you literally can testify now that, and that's what I testify to people. I said, listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, just try it. If you try it, it don't work for you. Hey, that's between you and God. But try it. You know, just try it. And I like what you said, and and I'm gonna use that. I like what you said. You said you started somewhere. You couldn't start. You didn't start at 10, but you trust him with the 5. Trusted him with the 8, and you're like, wait a minute. Then you trust him with the 10. You're like, oh, oh my God, you're right. That's the best investment that one could have. But it also stems from how you give. If you're going to give, like you said, going back to the beginning of this segment, like you said, if you give it, like you said at the beginning, you said don't make no investment in something that you're gonna be standing up late at night sweating over. Oh my gosh, I gave my last. No, that's not a cheerful giver, like the Bible said. It's not a cheerful giver. I've seen people that tied and wonder like, why I can't? Why I ain't. Well, first of all, let's look at the heart of your giving. How was your heart when you gave? You gave grudgingly. You literally gave, put it in there, and walked off like, "Well, I did my part. I gave my tithe." No, God's looking at your heart, and I tell people all the time, keep it. If that's how you're gonna give it, please. You literally wasting your time. God ain't seen none of that you just gave right now. He didn't see none of that. And so, Matt, like I said, I am so honored to have you on here, man. And as we go through these crazy times, I definitely want you back on here. I believe you have so much information that we can't put it in one segment. I do thank you for the education that you've given us thus far, and I want you all, Cafe people, I want you to go and follow him, subscribe to him on YouTube. That's YouTube at LAROSE Digital DIGITAL on YouTube, right? Is there another platform we need to look at? We're gonna have it posted right above. Any other platform we need to look at?
YouTube, Twitter, all the socials is fine. Anywhere you want to follow, where I have a profile I post. I just want to say appreciate you having me on. I get invited to speak all around the world in different podcasts, and I tell a lot of people no. But the minute you reached out, I have such high respect for you. I'll give you any time on my calendar. So if you're
Hey,
listening to this, you definitely should value the message and subscribe to this podcast. So, yeah,
man,
glad to be here.
I thank you so much, man. I thank you so much, so much, so much. Before you get off, we got a little game we play. We got a little game
Uh-oh.
we play in the cafe. It's
Okay.
called Cafe Shots. Cafe Shot. We give you 3 questions. 3 questions. You answer those. Whatever comes top of your head, boom, give it to us, and that's it. It's
Okay.
painless. You ready?
All
All
right.
right, Cafe Shot time, y'all. Here we go. All right, so 3 questions. Here we go. First question: If I could time travel, forward or backwards, I would go where? If I could time travel.
France during the Napoleon Wars.
Really? Why? This,
Napoleon was very interesting. He took a ragtag drunk army on the French Italian border, and when he was told not to do anything, it was like sending a U.S. general to like U.S. Mexico, like nothing's gonna happen there. He
uh,
invaded Italy and won with a ragtag army, and then, like grew over the like Alps. Napoleon was a crazy guy. I would love to see like the things he done. He accomplished a lot of things. He was kind of crazy too, but I don't know. He did a lot of really cool things militarily that he
uh,
defeated the odds a lot of times, and I would be it would be interesting to see his life.
wow, wow. All right, here we go. Shot number 2. I like this. Shot number 2. Here we go. Ready for the caffeine? Here we go. If I could create the perfect game, it would be. If I could create the perfect game.
For two people to fall in love.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Like that. Like that. I will let you explain that to me, but explain that to me. I can't go. I can't pass that up.
We need more love in the world.
Gotcha.
Look, we talked about earlier. There's a lot of hate between politics and stuff. We need more love in the world.
Yeah, yeah. What the song says, what the world need now. Love, sweet love. All right, here we go. Last but not least, caffeine shot. The moon, you got to go live somewhere. The moon or Mars? The shuttle leaves tomorrow. The shuttle leaves tomorrow. The moon or Mars?
I would say Mars.
Mars.
Yeah, I like the warm. I don't like the cold.
Man, listen, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, y'all. Once again, for y'all cafe people, thank y'all for those who tune in. Hey, make sure you go to YouTube. Look at the webs. Look at YouTube. Go like, subscribe, get the information. As he said before, he's doing a lot of teaching. Hey, get into this. Don't let this information just fall on dry soil. For those people in church know what I'm talking about. Dry soil. Take advantage of it. Listen, it's out there. You just got to go get it. It's out there. You got to go get it. Once again, Matt, thank you so much. Thank you. Always welcome in the cafe. You're always welcome in the cafe. And once again, you'll get this information as well to give to your people as well. But I sure appreciate you once again for being in the cafe, man.
Absolutely. And I'll definitely give you a shout out to my audience.
Awesome. Hey, until next time, y'all listen how we do in the cafe. Make sure you get you something to drink. Keep your caffeine going. Keep your tea going. And we appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all on the next time in the cafe. Peace. Hey, again, everybody, thank you so much for your support of J Talk Podcast. Hey, like, subscribe, share, send your questions. Hey, send your questions. J81841017 That's J81841017 Send your questions, and we will answer your questions right there on the air on J Talk Podcast. Once again, thank you, love you, appreciate your support. Enjoy.